the end of the year quickly approaching, I always like to look back and reflect on my business, both the good and the bad. So in this video, I want to hang out with you guys for a while I give you the 15 best pieces of advice that I could come up with when reflecting back on my own Amazon business this year. I think this is really going to help people as sellers themselves or people who are thinking about getting into selling with knowing different things to look out for and different things to do. But first, before we go any further, in last week's video all about GeoRank, we announced our giveaway for that week. And anybody that watched the video, drop that comment down below that I asked, and subscribe to the channel, you are all entered into a random drawing for one winner to win $100. Right now, I'm going to choose that winner at random, and you have 1 week. Message me on Instagram, and you'll get that $100. Congratulations, you just won yourself $100, and all it took was being a dedicated viewer here at ProfitGuru. We appreciate all of you, and thank you so much to everyone that entered. Again, the winner, you will find my Instagram linked in the description and right on the main face of the channel. Message me on Instagram and we'll send you that money. Number one is specifically going to be for newer sellers. The first tip that I can give you as someone who's been selling on Amazon for a while is to not get too frustrated, especially in the beginning. There's going to be a lot of things that you're going to be wondering when you first get started. Selling on Amazon, the idea of it in general isn't complex, but when you think about all of the small little pieces and things of knowledge that you have to learn first and put together to actually produce that first sale, there's a lot of learning that you have to do. And I remember me as a new seller getting so frustrated in the beginning and wanting to throw in the towel before I even started. And even now as a seller, I've been doing this for a while now, and there are still times when I just feel super frustrated with what's in front of me and how to tackle it, how to find new products, how to get new listings. But just know that all of the learning does not have to be done all at once. Little gains each day are still going to make you a better seller and still improve your business. So plan to feel that frustration because it's going to happen. Make it a point where you're okay being in that state of mind and where frustration isn't a bad thing. It just means that there's an obstacle in front of you and you're going to get past it one way or another. You're going to learn what you need to and succeed. Which leads me nicely into the second point when thinking about things about my business this year is don't think that you're ever going to know it all. Be in a mindset where you are ready to always continue learning. You'll literally never know it all when it comes to selling on Amazon. There is just so many possibilities out there. Different ways to source, different ways to get supplies, different ways to find listings, different ways to create listings, different ways to set up your PPC, different ways to do everything. And you're not going to know it all at once. And then when you think you do know something, Amazon changes things and now you have to relearn or figure out a different way to do what you've been doing. So know coming into this that this is definitely a business where you just have to have a growth mindset and a mindset that is ready to keep learning every single day. Even in my own business, I'm always running into new problems, different things, different obstacles that I have to learn how to overcome. Things that they worked last month and now this month, they're not working anymore. So in an Amazon business, you have to be a problem solver and you have to be somebody that is willing to continue learning every day. The third piece of advice that I can give you is to hire help for those jobs that does not need your attention and your time. Time is literally the most valuable thing on this planet, and it is the one thing that is also always working against us because there are only so many hours in a day. And within those hours, there are certain jobs that you need to be in charge of, but there's a lot of other jobs when it comes to being an Amazon seller that you don't have to do yourself and that you can hire somebody else to do. And to hire good virtual assistants is actually a lot cheaper than you probably think it is. One of the best places to go is onlinejobs.ph. There are so many candidates on there from the Philippines who are very hard workers and have a lot of experience being virtual assistants. For example, if you do online arbitrage, that requires hours and hours of sourcing each day online. That's something you could pay a virtual assistant to do. And even if you're somebody that sells on eBay, if you're selling, you need to set up a lot of listings. That takes time, and you can easily hire somebody to make those listings for you. When I was doing a lot of online arbitrage, just searching for new products to jump onto those listings each month, I had a virtual assistant and she was amazing. Unfortunately, I don't need a virtual assistant right now in my business with the model that I'm doing, so I don't use her anymore. But we are really good friends still and talk a lot, so I will drop her email in the details section of this video. So if anybody is looking out for a virtual assistant that they know they can trust, this is somebody that I highly recommend. Her name is Mariz Avenido, and I did find her through onlinejobs.ph. She is just an incredible person, such a hard worker, and somebody that you can definitely trust. So that's my third tip for you. Free up some of your time for those tasks that you don't have to be in charge of and get yourself a good virtual assistant. The fourth tip I'm bringing you is a pretty big one for me to overcome. And I still kind of have some issues with this, and it is take calculated risks. When you're selling on Amazon, there's going to be a lot of decisions that you have to take, and sometimes I get myself in this mental fog of decision fatigue where I know I've done all of the research and this product looks so good, and then I just don't want to pull the trigger because I'm worried about the risk associated. I mean, it does happen. You'll invest in some products and some listings that they don't go well and you might lose money on. And when that happens, it makes you even more skeptical the next time to be ready to pull the trigger. But if you've done all of the research, you checked all the data points, if everything looks good, then just tell yourself, I did my homework. I'm ready to take that calculated risk and then purchase your test buy. Especially if you're like me and you have some anxiety and some decision fatigue. I hate losing money, but I love making money. So be ready to know when something is good and to take that risk. Take that calculated risk, pull the trigger, and test buy for that product. But this slides nicely into my fifth tip when rethinking about my year, and that is don't order too big. I had one listing that I set up and I sent in like 120 units, I think, and they sold out super fast. So to replenish that, all of the data was telling me that a month's stock was going to be hundreds of units. So my replen when I sent in was just over like 300 units that I did to replen this item. And as you can imagine, that was also a big chunk of change. Well, since my tip is to not order too big, I can probably imagine that you already know what happened, and that was too big of an order. It's hard because you don't want to run out of stock. And you also know that things take time, especially if you're like me and you're using a prep center. So my products have to go from where I'm purchasing them from to the prep center. The prep center has to have some time to prep those products, send them to Amazon. We all know that takes time, and depending on which warehouse it's sent to, it could be checked in a few days or it could be checked in a few weeks. So because I didn't want to run out of stock and the data was telling me that I needed such a large reorder, I did a large reorder. And now those products are not selling through nearly as fast as they did the previous month. So I'm kind of sitting on that money right now and that storage space right now. And that's one thing that it really does take a lot of knowledge to understand is your reorders, how much you need to be reordering to make sure that you have enough stock, to make sure that you can satisfy the demand, but that you're not just
taking up space at the warehouse and things are sitting, because now that's money I'm sitting on, that's storage space that's being eaten up that I can't send in more because that is taking up so much volume. And if they keep sitting there and they don't sell through, then I'm going to have to start paying a long-term storage fee on. So just don't ever order too big. The sixth tip that I really realized this year is, as you start selling more, you need more money. Reselling is literally a game of just that. In order to resell something, first you have to be able to buy it. So as you start building your catalog larger and larger, more products, more ASINs, more things that you have to replenish, that's more capital that you have to have up front. So keep that in mind, because you're either, number one, going to have enough money, cash money, to pay for these products, or you're going to have to be using credit cards, which credit cards, they can add up interest really quick and eat into your profit. So as you start to scale more and you need more money to fund your business, start thinking now of a plan of how you're going to get the capital to get the products to resell. Maybe this might mean doing some Uber on the side to get that extra money in to have the capital for it. If it comes down to it, it comes down to it. But you're going to need money. So figure out your plan to get it. My seventh tip for you, it burns me literally every single year. Every single year. I know this, it happened to me last year, and again, I let it happen to me this year. I'm the type of person who I don't live months out. My brain doesn't really let me think that way and plan that way. So for example, when it comes to lesson planning, for my teaching for my classroom, I'm not the teacher who has lessons plans just laid out for weeks in advance. I'm probably doing it on the fly and writing my lessons plans as I'm doing it. That's just how my brain works. That's how I operate best. But that comes not into play so well when you are selling on Amazon and you want to take advantage of seasonal things. For example, we are in Q4 right now, which is the last quarter of the year, and typically when sales are the highest. People are buying right now. They are buying things for the holidays. And if you don't start planning your inventory that you want to send in, I would say by mid-September, late September, then you're probably already running a little late to the game. So for my brain in September, I'm not thinking about Q4. I'm just starting the school year and I don't think about that. But if you want to take advantage of Q4 and those sales, you need to be. You need to have a game plan. How are you going to go into this? Especially because as soon as that first week of December comes, if you don't already have your inventory all set, your game plan done, everything there at the warehouse, you're kind of out of luck at that point. It is such a busy time for Amazon and for all of the warehouses that if your shipment is not there, they're probably not going to get it counted in time for you to make sales. That's just how it goes because they are so busy. So my seventh tip for you when thinking about how my year went is to not be like me, and if you want to take advantage of seasonal things, start thinking about them months in advance. The eighth tip for you is to make a schedule or a dedicated chunk of time for your Amazon business. It truly is going to pay you out what you put into it. Don't expect to just play around with your Amazon business for 1 hour a week and make money like it's a full-time job. If you want it to pay you like a full-time job, you really have to put in the hours and treat it like your full-time job. So if you're just doing this on the side as a little hobby and dabbling here and there, there's nothing wrong with that, but just know you're not going to be making enough money to quit your job if that's all that you're putting into it. The very best thing you can do is make a schedule for your entire day and dedicate time that you are going to sit down and work on your Amazon business. Otherwise, you might be like me and say, oh, I'll work on that tomorrow. I'll do that tomorrow. And we all know tomorrow never comes. So if you want to take this serious and to scale it to the point where this can become your full-time job, I'm telling you right now, you have to schedule it in and do it when you say you're going to do it each and every day. The ninth tip that I learned this year that I'm bringing to you is pertaining to your network. Your net worth is really attached to your network, to those people around you. Things start to grow and things are just better when you have other people around you that are helping you in one way or another. Maybe they're helping to educate you, maybe they're helping to scale your business, maybe they're just friends you can talk to and get some ideas going. I did this one video a few weeks ago where this guy was able to quit his job and just do retail arbitrage full time. And the only reason why he was able to do that was because he built a network of different friends who they all were in different states, but they all have in common this one store that is not very common. And they work together. They find products at that store and let each other know in that network about those products, and then they all go and get them. And because they're in different states, they're not competing with each other. Yes, they are competing on the same listings, but that was something I talked to him about and was wondering, and he said they're all sharing the buy box pretty well. And if he didn't have that network that he grew of those people around him helping him, I'm pretty sure he wouldn't have been able to quit his job like he did. So get out there, get into the worlds, the networks, the communities of other Amazon sellers, because you don't know who you're going to meet and exactly how they're going to help you. The 10th tip for you is to not be afraid to try out different models. And this is something that I really hit hard this year and I really wanted to do. Now, when most people start hearing about the idea of selling on Amazon, who's bringing this idea to them is usually a private label seller. So somebody who is manufacturing their own products and putting their own barcode and sticker and trademark on them. And that was really confusing for me as a new seller because I thought that was the only way to do Amazon, which is clearly not. We have online arbitrage where we're shopping online, buying products and reselling them. We have retail arbitrage where we're going into the retail stores, finding products on the racks and reselling them. We have wholesale where we're starting these wholesale accounts, buying in bulk and reselling. And then we have hybrid models where we're incorporating different elements and maybe making our own listings of bundles. There are so many different models to selling on Amazon, and don't count it out until you've tried it. That's really how you're going to get your feet wet, be an experienced seller, and know which model feels best and suits you best and is going to take you the farthest. With me personally, and where a lot of sellers usually start out and where I recommend them to start out, is retail arbitrage. Going inside of the stores, scanning all of the products, figuring out what you're ungated in, which categories and brands you are able to sell. And I like doing retail arbitrage, but the problem is I live in a town that's really small. I don't have a lot of opportunity here to do retail arbitrage. Shopping plazas are hours away. So retail arbitrage really is a model that is regional. You might not live somewhere where that model makes sense. If that's the case, like with me, be ready to choose a different model instead. Try them out, see which one feels best. Which leads me nicely into the 11th tip. Don't be afraid to wait too long to get the creative upper hand. Now, something that I've been wanting to do for well over a year, and things just did not align for me to do it last year, was to get a registered trademark, because that really is a big creative advantage. With that registered trademark, you are able to get brand registry. So you can register different bundles using that trademark. So you can create new listings and new bundles using that trademark. And once I finally did it, which was pretty recently, the whole thing took 1 week. I did go through the Amazon Accelerate program. So I found attorneys, lawyers, through Amazon, hired them, sent them my idea, what my name was, the class that I wanted, what I was wanting to sell. They file it for you, give you the number for the application. You tell that to Amazon, and it took like 3 days from that point. I was approved. I got brand registry. Literally, from the time I started talking to the attorneys to the time I got brand registry, it was a week. I couldn't believe it. I was like, why did I wait so long to do this? Because it really does give you that creative upper hand. Now I can create listings and bundles and make them very challenging for any competitors to jump onto. Another creative upper hand is getting things like promotional products. So once you have that trademark, you can easily and very cheaply print products that make sense with your bundles, that have your trademark on them, and advertise that right in the listing. This is going to stop competitors from jumping on. So don't be like me, learn from me and this tip, because it is a big one. Don't wait to get the creative upper hand. The 12th tip is something that I still struggle with a lot, and that is each month is a new month. So don't be too hard on yourself. I look at my numbers from 1 month and think to myself, okay, if I was able to get that, then next month I should be able to get so much more. And when that doesn't happen, or when things get busy, my kids get sick, I get too busy at school, I'm just not dedicated and setting enough time into it, and then I have a really, really bad month, I get really defeated on myself. But you have to remind yourself that that was just that month. And just because that month is bad, next month is a new month. Because things were bad here doesn't mean that things are going to be bad for the next month, or that they have to be bad that next month. It's all up to you. So don't be too hard on yourself. Sometimes life happens. Your numbers aren't where you want them to be. Okay, let's go. It's a new month. Let's make a plan. Let's make that schedule and those dedicated hours, and let's just do better. The 13th tip, don't buy with your heart and don't get too attached to listings. This definitely happened to me this year. I'll have an ASIN that I'm selling, a replen, something that I'm just restocking each and every single month. And then all of a sudden it stops selling, or the price completely tanks, or too much competitors come onto it. And it kind of devastates me for a minute. I'm like, oh my goodness, I've been selling this product and making so much money off of it for X amount of months. And now that's not happening anymore. The price is too low. There's too many competitors. What am I gonna do? Well, if a listing goes south, keep that ASIN, have it on your radar to keep checking, but don't be afraid to pull the plug and pivot. Go on to the next. There are millions of products in this catalog. And if you can make your own listings, list generic, or get your brand registered, then that right there is unlimited potential. And don't buy products with your heart. Just because it's something that you see and you're like, oh, this is a great idea, people are going to love this. Well, just because you love it and you think people are going to love it, actually find the data, do the research, and make sure people are going to love it before you buy it. I had this happen to me and it burned me quite good. The 14th tip relates well with the last two, but I think this is something that everybody struggles with, myself, probably you that's watching, and that is, don't compare yourself and your journey to others. Just simply stay in your own lane. It's the best thing for you. It's the best thing for your mental health. It's just the best thing. I do this quite a bit. A lot of people like to flash their numbers, especially on social media. And I'll see somebody who started right around the same time as me, or maybe they even started selling after me, and they're flashing these huge numbers. And I'm always like, oh man, I wonder what they're doing. Like, how are they doing that? I was never able to do that so early on. Like, why? It doesn't matter what Joe, Sally, Sue, it doesn't matter what they're doing. What matters is what you're doing, what you're putting into it, how creative you're being, what listings you're finding, what connections you're making. Stay in your lane, keep yourself sane, and the only one you're competing with is yourself. And like I said, if you had a bad month, okay, it was a bad month, let's do better next month. And let's make a game plan to make sure that we do so. And the 15th tip when rethinking about 2023 is know the rules and stay on top of them, because things are changing so much. So much change this year with Amazon. They are constantly rethinking things, redeveloping things, changing things that were accepted before. Everything's changing. Different places that they were accepting to get ungated from, they're not accepting anymore. The small and light program, that no longer exists. Things are just always shifting with Amazon. They're always thinking about how to improve things, how to make things more efficient. And if you're not checking your emails and staying on top of these things from Seller Central, from Amazon, going into your Seller Central account, go into the forums, go into the newsletters, it's really important to know. Because if you're doing something wrong, especially if it's a big thing, your account could just be completely terminated and you might not ever be able to get that back. So it's very serious to stay up to date with what Amazon wants, because know that it's changing. What they might have expected last week might be different now this week. So when you get an email from them, open it up, take a minute to read it, because it literally could mean your business on the line. Go into Seller Central, go down to the news, and just stay informed and stay up to date. Goes back to that early tip that I told you, where this is a business where you have to have that open mindset and just know that you have to continually be learning all the time. I really hope these 15 tips helped you out. Which one was your favorite? Let me know down below, and also make sure to get into the giveaway for next week. I would love to call your name for that $100. So if you did not yet, drop that comment and make sure that you're subscribed to the channel. I hope you do the same thing as me and just reflect on this year, because it really is a great thing for growth. Think about those things that you did good, because I'm sure there was good that happened in your business, and it's great to reflect back on that and be proud of your successes. But also think about those other things that weren't so great and things that you want to change for next year in order to do better, to get better, and to grow. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. It really means a lot to me, and to have you here as a dedicated viewer, it means the world to me. That's it for this video, and I'll catch you in the next one.